It's May 26, 2022. I'm watching Channel 7 Eyewitness News. There's a actor. Again, they don't distinguish this Hollywood actor from the rest of the actors. Usually whenever it's actor related, they refer to Hollywood. I don't know why. And I don't know if this is true or not because, again, I've never been. But I digress. So Ray Liotta, apparently, he's from New Jersey. He wound up dying today, they're announcing, at age 67. They said he was arrived in 1957, I think, until 2022, which is today. What's interesting is there was some GQ interview with him, and he lets out this, I don't know, do you say time traveler secret? Do you like leadership secret? He's like, his exact words are, "It's so amazing to play a part in a different way and you get to play pretend with the real participants." I found that really prophetic. For them, the profiteering works, or whatever. In my case, there's some parallels that needed to be addressed, since the real persons have trouble finding me in the field and giving me a hand out, whatever, into wherever I should have been from the beginning, since it doesn't look like the world planned for me to stay very long, since it's changed over so many times and in such a different direction from when I arrived. So I'm watching this real live actor in his human label that he arrived in as his character that he walks around in, day label, and outside of the script for which he was drafted into this upper echelon league that he played within. And then it goes through his career. And I see he's something like they call typecast, which I found really interesting. I haven't seen any of these movies. It's not my genre. For me, since I was little, I've always wanted to be like my heart calls for like Victorian era. Like Victorian, I love the Victorians. They call them the houses that they built here. The English Tudors are beautiful. That's one set of homes. And then the others are the Victorian era pieces. But they have such skilled craftsmanship and so much thought put into the detail. And I mean, it's just absolutely amazing. I don't know, because I saw a label on something the other day, almost a coat of arms, but it didn't, like, they don't speak of it here, that had something along the same word. So I don't know if they sounded out the same phonetically. But I've always known, like, my heart sings for being Victorian. I don't know in real world terms what that means. But when I look at this Ray Liotta typecast or stereotypical Ray Liotta lifestyle, it is not who I am, who I ever like dreamed of being. I respect it. I'm very respectful of it and tried not to harm myself by quantifiably entangling in some fight I never wanted to enter, some match I never wanted to enter, in my quest to get to, like, Victorian respected elsewhere. but I just found it interesting to actually hear one of the real live actor representatives admitting on camera that such a thing exists. Because there's a lot wrong in the world here. It looks like there's been some things going on in alternate worlds around the same time sequence, which is why I say the galaxy for me is broken, because I don't get word of what the other broken worlds or the Manfutsa are going through. And then there's the Manfuja, which is the part of the brokenness of the semblance of the same. It's the individual experience and the Fuja, Manfucha, the broken, that are messing with the same planes of alternate world, that are currently causing a catastrophe in my life, in my real world. I'm affected by it. I also noticed, which I don't like to go into people's looks, I don't like to comment on them, I don't feel it's my place. However, I know my face, by dimension, by scope, of like 3D reality with measurements and symmetry, has shifted and changed. I can see, I had my teeth fixed, and I can see my teeth have shifted. It's something to do with the management of the pressure system, the climate pressure system, and the biological toxicity level of what's endured in this section, which he also was in. I also noticed on my grandfather was not born with a nose the size of the one that he died with. And the man was not... there's some levels of humans in New York that live a certain way. My grandfather was not one of them. It was not that. There was just something. It became bulbous towards the end. And I noticed in Ray Liotta's original casting video, he had a very slender nose. He had a very slender chin. And he looked, I mean, he was beautiful both ways, but I mean, he just, there was, his interview at GQ at the end, I mean, he looks like a completely different person, even though he's the same. I'm experiencing a little of that myself. My nose is not quantifiably quite as bulbous at the bottom, but it has lost its shape. The perpendicular plate, I think, split with someone hitting me in the face. And not of my whatever, it was an accident, supposedly. And even the jawline with the swollen lymph nodes at the moment, trying to get over whatever's going on in this light level, which seems awfully high. But I wanted to just make a note of it because I've never heard anybody, again, I don't celebrity stalk. I don't know their careers. I don't know their names. I don't know their theater names. I haven't followed franchise lines. None of this. I mean, the way that I was raised was to not, it's to be treated with respect and not to be binged on necessarily. It's only now that I'm having, I can't jog right now. I can't do aerobics right now because the lungs and the arrhythmia or dysrhythmia pattern of what's going on in the pressurized system here. So now I'm looking for answers in alternate ways. But it's just amazing now looking back at it because I don't have an over 6 foot someone to look up to that's here daily with me. I might in certain circles, I might be like my best friend's wife or my best friend's girl, kind of a way of referring to a situation that I might be going through in Time Traveler's Wife, kind of a way. And not touting that show because I don't know who's involved. And from what I saw, it doesn't even look slightly on the realm of possibility of being even close to where it needs to be in order to carry that weighted of a title. It's totally off the mark. I can just tell by the small previews. I don't know who's involved in it, though.
Been a child of Newark and Union named Ray Liotta.
There's something very energizing about playing pretend with people who really are in it.
One of those people, Lorraine Bracco.
So playing pretend from afar with people who are really in situations on the silver screen is what they used to call it anyway. In order, like the original GoFundMe page for real live family members that needed help, whether it be matchmaking, whether it be talent management, whether it be whatever. What I don't understand is where it all went so off rails that now that simple, legitimate reason to make a franchise or a film that follows a very specific storyline to give like an anchor of hope and a peaceful place to build some meaning and to actually affect in a not a harmful way but in a helpful way certain individuals that are known by the time travel whatever that's been going on, in the sense of, did your best days arrive before you did? And were they measured against the worst days you would ever encounter in your life? And did somebody prejudge you on that score in order to fight with others that then caused you harm? It's a set of circumstances that are, I would hope they're rare. But in my case, I know that they exist. I just don't know how to help myself because, again, it's almost like premier isolation. Like there's been interactions, but I know that on the one hand they're calculated, and in certain instances, I'm very grateful and thankful for the few interactions where I walked into a feast for the eyes, even though I might not have reacted that way. Because I know that it's just so very rare that I ever get to see anything in real life that looks as beautiful as some of the humans walk around daily in. But for me, like with certain people, they have anticipation, they have schedule, they have something to look forward to, they have like a goal in mind. I don't get that here. I walk into something and then it's like, I don't know, if the other person like anticipating some reaction that I'm not having because I just walked into it. Like I wasn't expecting you, I wasn't prepared, I didn't have anything to study. Like, I mean, it would be really nice if these real life important people like are anticipating spending time or running into me. It would be really nice if I could have a heads up so I could do the study work to know who they are, so at least I can appreciate them in the way that they deserve to be appreciated, since there is so few of those interactions. But then again, those interactions haven't really prevented this moment from happening and from the damage that's been done to whatever I'm going through at the moment. So this is the beginning of their appreciation of Ray Liotta, which, again, it's a Ray Liotta. It's an L-I. on the OTTA scale. So here's the beginning of the Ray Liotta appreciation piece.
I'm telling you. Well, Hollywood is mourning the loss of a New Jersey-born actor. Ray Liotta died at the age of 67. The Goodfellas star died in his sleep in the Dominican Republic where he was shooting a movie. Liotta was born in Newark and was recently inducted into the New Jersey Hall of Fame. Entertainment reporter Sandy Kenyon here with a look back on his life. Sandy.
Dave, his co-star in the movie Goodfellas, expressed the emotions so many of us are feeling after the death of Ray Liotta. Robert De Niro releasing a statement saying he was very saddened to learn of Ray's passing. He is way too young to have left us. May he rest in peace. De Niro was, of course, part of an ensemble of greats in Goodfellas, often called one of the best movies ever made. A movie filmed in our area with Liotta at its center. A movie he narrated. He was one of the Goodfellas, a character named Henry Hill, who helped pull off one of the biggest heists in history for real. And who better to play an iconic gangster from our area than a child of Newark and Union named Ray Liotta?
There's something very
Newark and Union. So the new arc. Now that's interesting, because there's an Ark of the Covenant that they speak of in like ancient alien respectful places. So new arc.
very energizing about playing pretend with people who really are in it.
One of those people, Lorraine Bracco, tweeted she was shattered by Liotta's death and added fans approach her about Goodfellas all the time. They always ask what was the best part of making that movie. My response has always been the same: Ray Liotta.
Getting thrown out of baseball was like having part of me amputated.
By then, he...
That would pretty much be my line. In, like, I was built and designed to marry someone over 6 foot, respectable, in a world elsewhere from here, from what I arrived to in New York. Like, if I left New York and never looked back, I'd be alright. So, I know I come from elsewhere. I belong in elsewhere. I was destined for elsewhere. What I'm not clear on is why there's such a hold in New York and why I was held away from the elsewhere for which I was destined and belong and still want to get to. I noticed also I do have a moment in space travel or time away from here where there is that spiral staircase moment. There is the bottom of the staircase. There is the walking through a set of doors together. There is then everyone is incredibly short compared to him, like in height. And he tells me to get on his back. And it was like opening scene almost. And I'm like, really? You want? And he's like, no. He says, I want you to get on my back. He says, and I said, what's your name? And he says, just call me Superman. I'll be Superman for you for the night. And I'm like, all right, works for me. So that exists. And then in the real world, or in this part of New York, to see on the big screen coming from some form of federal whatever with an FCC, an FTA, FTC, an SEC, whatever, for it to come through that they're removing Teton or Titan in a silver and blue from Manhattan and they referred to it as Superman's booth. That's really frightening. Because if you remove, I've already had him removed from my person where I no longer have an arm and someone over 6 foot to look up to. I also don't have somebody carrying me around on piggyback. I don't have any access to my person that I need. But this is what others are doing in storytelling.
He'd already starred in another film destined to become legendary. On A Field of Dreams, he played another real character, Shoeless Joe Jackson, back from the dead and talking about his role fixing a World Series for gamblers.
So my camper's packed and I'm
I mean, I look at his nose, the way he is in here, and he looks like, I mean, a completely different human than what his last, I mean, it is just amazing. It's a small bridge. It's, I mean, it's beautiful symmetry. And, I mean, it's just, and he looks very G under in this particular moment. But when they flash forward to his GQ 2019, he looks like a different person.
leaving town.
Liotta got his start on a soap opera just across the river from where he grew up. Shortly before, he had attended his first audition, explaining to GQ magazine in 2019.
There was a really pretty girl, and she asked me if I was going to the audition that night. They wanted us to sing and dance. And I'm like jock from New Jersey. Well, I'm not going to sing and dance.
Decades later, Liotta returned to be inducted into the New Jersey Hall of Fame.
New Jersey has loads of great people. Thank you.
He got his start in daytime TV and moved to LA, where nothing happened until he took acting classes with the same coach as Melanie Griffith.
Let him go.
In Something Wild, he played her husband, which began a series of memorable parts. Later, a lull meant the films were not quite as successful, but he became a hero to a new generation as a voice for the video game Grand Theft Auto.
How are you doing? You're a funny guy.
The veteran character actor, who never became a really big star, had recently been enjoying a career resurgence, playing 2 roles in a big screen prequel to The Sopranos called, funnily enough, The Many Saints of Newark.
Stay out of his life.
Ray Liotta once described his acting career as a winding road, and he has several movies in the can right now, part of a rich legacy that will be released posthumously following his unexpected death at the age of just 67. He
Posthumously. That's an interesting word they don't use a lot.
leaves behind his daughter Carson and his fiancée, JC Natolo. Liotta recently told People magazine the pandemic had brought them really close. Dave and Liz will hear from his childhood friend, one of them, next hour.
Oh, what a talent.
Yeah, such a shame. He was so young and incredibly talented. Sandy, thank you. And still to come on.
But see, for such a large project as trying to balance multiple, I mean, I think it's Hungarian. I don't know if Swedish shares the same sounds. Vlog, in several vlog that you try to balance, but each vlog, meaning world, is experiencing whatever it is as storytellers to keep one semblance so minuscule wars don't break out or big weapons come out, but for more of like a treaty kind of a way. I thought that that's what the big screen or silver screen or the human talent was supposed to be used for. And then the theoretical, since not everybody has access to a mini theater, but the theoretical, like once it's been played out and it's been agreed upon, then it goes to whatever. It's just confusing because it doesn't look like everybody's complying with that anymore. It seems that something's run amok. I'm not quite sure what's going on with talent and the actors studio and the guild and that sort of things. Again, now here they did some whatever, and then it went to baby formula again. Head of the FDA came out with a message. So this is today's May 26th. Is Thursday.
The FDA and the nation's largest maker of baby formula facing more tough questions now about the shortage in the U.S.
And safety is top of mind.
But again, head of FDA, that's a status, and that's an umbrella. They don't announce nouns that actually fill the positions in my area. They just give an umbrella for the rain. And there's no noun attached to the handle at the moment that I'm aware of that the television has let me know about. And here's the actual story. I missed it. I apologize.
Formula shortage crisis. It says a whistleblower mailed in a letter detailing health violations at Abbott's plant in Michigan back in October, but the FDA says it didn't receive it until 4 months later. By then, 1 infant had died and 2 others were hospitalized after drinking formula from that plant. The FDA says unsanitary conditions were found there during an inspection in January.
Now, what's interesting is the FDA and this mail room.
Bacteria growing from multiple sites, and many signs of a disappointing lack of attention to the culture of safety in this product that is so essential to the life.
Now, this message has a noun attached to it. And I see he also has a bow tie, not a necktie. But he also has the flag that they use in this area behind him.
Lives of our most precious people.
We are deeply, deeply sorry, and we are determined to make sure that this never happens again.
Well, yesterday, more than 100,000 pounds of infant formula arrived in Washington, D.C. from Germany. This is the second shipment under the Biden administration's Operation Fly Formula initiative. And we invite you to join us for an Eyewitness News special tonight, the Baby Formula Crisis. That is tonight at 8 o'clock at ABC 7 New York.
Shifting gears,
Now, this is another actor who had done he was the talent. I think they produced something called West Wing. Now, like with most things in this degraded state that I'm in physiologically and spending more times indoors than out, because I don't know if I'm pretty sure outside's more toxic at this point for the condition I'm in. So I try to watch part of the West Wing, try to learn whatever I could learn, but it's one of those things where I'd zone in and out. I really tried to follow along because, like, here's my thing, like with Thor, Avatar, he has such a message that is closely interdimensionally linked with what I got going on at the moment, that what they make available in this area as free, I am enjoying his craft. Not just he, but whomever but he has the one with the avatar, that matches my vlog at the moment as Hela, stuck in Ragnarok and the end times of whatever in Infinity Wars. So I've been trying the one mention that they made, I taped it, and I went back and forth with and trying to watch the inner dialogue and exchange with the other characters, because some of them are also referenced with other larger field things I've had going on that led to this whatever that I know about. And I'm listening and just enjoying the craft, but really studying as like his understudy of like, what are they trying, what is their argument, like what are they acknowledging, what messages are they sending, because it does follow such symmetry of things that have gone wrong here, that have led to here, that I need to know to keep myself safe. And perhaps there's some, I mean, like, I don't know how to get out of this position other than acknowledging the pieces that I can see semblance and threads of this level quirk from CERN system and time travel, perhaps, which also is mentioned in those movies. Now, back to West Wing. They have an actor or a talent by the name of Kevin Spacey. He got hauled in a court for something called sex trafficking. I don't know the human version of how they trump up their whatever or use their words in, they frighten me sometimes, the children of Earth, in ways that are like, really, whatever. So I'm watching, and they mentioned him tonight, along with this Ray Liotta thing. So I don't know the connection on that. But it happens to be the same broadcast at at timestamp of 4 p.m.
Thanks, Lee.
Coming up at first at 4, actor Kevin Spacey is facing new sexual assault charges. And still to come at 4, we'll tell you why he's facing new problems with British prosecutors.
Also, speed cameras will be on.
So again, I don't know how they interact with that level of things and talents and scripts and dialogues. And again, there are people who are professionals. I just also don't know how to, I don't know what they call themselves. It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza, it's Earth, Solar System, Milky Way, Universe, Galaxy is broken, and Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.